Manny, thank you so much for being here with us today, man.
It's a blessing, brother.
Yeah, this is what I'm really excited about, man. This whole Coffee with Casey series has really been a lot of friends of mine who I was excited to get to talk with, because, man, so many incredible stories of just friends I have that had big visions and things that they are leading. So we've had billion-dollar tech startups, have New York Times bestselling authors on leadership and things, but truly there's not a story I'm more excited for our folks and just for the public to get to hear than yours, because it's one that I heard years ago. It impacted me deeply, and then, man, it's just been a privilege to kind of watch you live into this vision I think that God's given you over these last 5 years and develop our friendship and watch you do some amazing things in our country and around the world, man. So I would love if you would share just a bit of your backstory and how this whole Samaritan's Feet vision got birthed.
Well, it's crazy. People always wonder in terms of like they see what you do today. There's got to be a beginning to this, man.
Yeah.
What makes you so fired up about shoes? I said, dude, you're a guy, man. You're not Amanda Marcus or nothing like that, man. I said, no, but the reality is the fact that people don't realize there's about 1.5 billion people in our world today that are infected with diseases because they have no shoes, and I just think that's an injustice. But to get to that point, you got to go all the way back. I was born into a first-generation Christian family. My mom was the first ever Christian in my family tree, so it was such a very unique way of living. And then I also grew up in poverty. I used to wake up every morning, Casey. I used to say, "God, give me 001." You know what that means? That means it took even enough breakfast. It took even enough lunch, but at least God give me supper so I can make it to the next day.
Wow.
You look at me
001.
today,
not planning on breakfast.
No,
lunch,
man.
No, that doesn't
that's
happen,
an option.
but maybe dinner.
Maybe dinner. Wow. But you look at me today, you say, there's not a chance this brother's missed a meal, you know what I'm saying? But the reality, our world was so different.
Yeah.
And at the age of 9, my responsibility is to help contribute to my parents. Bottom line, because every little child has a responsibility. And part of my responsibility is to help my mom sell water. I always tell people, you ever seen Discovery Channel and see those kids that carry baskets in their head?
Yeah.
That used to be me.
Wow.
I used to be a kid.
And those things are heavy. I've done it, and literally, no joke, couldn't make it almost 100 yards. And there were little 9, 10-year-old kids with water on their head.
You're carrying the head and you're running, and but it's so crazy. But that's our reality.
Yeah.
And at the age of 9, my job is to help my mom sell water and soft drinks, at the park by my house. And one day I showed up at the park to go sell water, and there was this group of missionaries that came to teach African children how to play sports. They brought this little orange ball. See, I grew up in it because everything that's round and bounce, we'd kick them, you know what I'm saying?
Soccer.
But they call this one basketball, man. And I showed up there that these guys were having fun. They were dribbling the ball, passing the ball, shooting the ball, and I want to join them. And I showed up there, I tried to join them, to shoot me away. I said, son, you don't belong here, man. Go sell your water. Man,
wow.
You're a street merchant. And I'm looking at that. That's one of the first lessons God taught me. Anything in life that you want to make happen, nobody's going to make it happen for you. Oh. You got to go after it.
Wow.
And I looked at it as they were playing. I saw one of the balls go around the corner. And I watched and I grabbed it. And I snuck in, I joined them. And they were trying to shoot me away. I didn't listen. I was so focused. We were dribbling and passing the ball. And this missionary said, we're going to have a shooting competition. He said the prize for the winner is going to be a new pair of shoes. That place went nuts. Everybody went crazy. I was like, God, a pair of shoes? Because you got to realize in my neighborhood, a pair of tennis shoes like a Mercedes-Benz.
Wow.
Where your parents live on less than $1 a day, somebody's going to give you a pair of shoes, which equates to probably your parents' income for the next year.
Wow.
Every child want to get picked.
So did you have shoes at that time?
I didn't have shoes.
Didn't have a pair of shoes?
We had these flip-flops that we walk around and run around with.
Right.
It's just, our world was so crazy different. But tennis shoes, nobody has tennis shoes in your community.
Yeah.
And we were screaming, pick me, pick me, pick me. I was one of the few that got picked. I never played basketball in my life. But that day, Casey, the first shot I took was nothing but, I joke around, I said, Angels was working overtime on my behalf. It was so crazy. I took 2 shots that day that changed my life. I became the first person, not just in my family, but my entire community, to own a pair of tennis shoes.
Wow.
It was so crazy. All I wanted to do was run home. And as I was about to take off, this missionary guy, his name was David from the state of Wisconsin, he grabbed me by the shoulder. And he said, son, just because all you see around you is poverty doesn't mean the God of the universe has forgotten about you.
Wow.
He said,
just because your circumstances, your situation may not look hopeful, might not look, up in the world's eyes, doesn't look like you got a lot going on.
Come on.
No, you got a God who sees into your future, who sees more in you than your circumstances might reflect.
Well, the craziest thing, growing up there, I used to dream just like every kid. I said, man, I want to be this. But my dream could just be as far out as the moon. I didn't know how in the world that was going to come to fruition. But to think about the God of the universe thought about me and sent somebody to Africa and never knowing that he was going to do something that's going to catalyze and birth something in the heart of an African boy, and never knowing that what he was about to do there was going to change the world. Wow. Right, and sometimes God asks us to do certain things. We don't know the implication, the ripple effect of those decisions. And that day, I didn't know what that was all about. It was all part of the story. Well, after this guy finished speaking and presented me the shoes, I was so excited. I took off. I forgot my basket of water.
Your one job.
Dude,
one job to help the family. Sell some water.
Man, I ran so fast. I got home and my mom looked at me and she said, son, where's my water? I said, Mama, check out my shoes. And the mom said something. She said, son, you better go bring my water back. Well, tonight you better meet Jesus, man. But it was such a defining moment in my life. And I remember going back there, praying all the way that basket better be there. And he was there. And I show up in the basketball court, not even wearing those shoes. I'm putting those shoes on my neck because an American person gave me those shoes.
Wow.
But more importantly, they gave me that shoe. He gave me hope. Give me something to dream about, right? So I started playing basketball. Basketball became my escape because the home life was tough. You know, when you grew up in a home where your father abused a lot of different things, alcohol and different things, the ones that are closest to them are the ones that they hurt the most. So it was so hard. So home life was tough. And I still remember, till today and talking to my mom. And I go to my mom, why do we have to live so poor? Why do we have to live like this? My mom was such a visionary, man, because she believed the promises of God. And she looked me in the eye. She said, take me by the little window by my house. And she said, son, I want you to look outside. And she said, what do you see? And I look outside and I ran. I said, Mom, there are trees. And she said, son, I want you to look higher. And she said, what do you see? I said, Mama, they're birds. And son, you're not looking high enough. She said, son, look higher. She said, what do you see? And I said, Mama, I said, the clouds. And he said, you ever wonder why God created the sky so high? And I said, I don't know, Mama. And she said, so poor boys, like you can dream.
Wow.
Real high. He said, son, never make an excuse for life. He said, just because today may be a crappy day doesn't mean tomorrow ain't going to be a great day. But as long as my God is on the throne, she always tells me that you can do all things.
Wow.
Through him who gives you strength. So I started believing my mom.
Yeah.
I mean, I started playing basketball, man.
So stop there for just a second. Manny, your story is incredible. And it starts, I think, in very challenged circumstances. And a lot of folks, I think, would look at your circumstances growing up poor, growing up without a pair of shoes, growing up, with a challenged home life, a lot of adversity. How do you talk to folks today, about having a big vision when they look around and say, man, my circumstances are so challenged?
I think that is not a coincidence. Every single obstacle that God allows us to walk through is actually part of our preparation for what God already ordained. Because every single one has been created with a specific and divine purpose. Myself, not having shoes. Who was to say that a shoeless kid would be a conduit that God wants to use to bring shoes to millions, that one day can create a vision to be able to create a world with zero shoeless children? So I don't know what your misery is. I don't know what your pain is.
I don't know if they all caught that. That you today have a vision to create a world with zero shoeless children. And before everybody goes, man, that's crazy. That's great. Man, this guy seems like a nice guy. Looks sharp. Seems like a great story. You got some evidence that man, you've already moved significantly towards that goal.
We set up a goal in 2003 after going back to Nigeria when my mom and my father passed away, and walking into my home and not realizing how poor we were. But then I was so bad, Casey, I couldn't even use the bathroom at my house. I had to go across the street to the park where I used to sell water. And that's when I saw those kids with no shoes. That's when I learned that 1.5 billion people that were infected with diseases, that 300 million kids in Africa didn't have shoes. And I said, somebody ought to do something about it. And we set up a goal to go impact 10 million kids. And today we've served about 7
Which seemed
million.
like a big deal. The time, from your vantage point, saying 10 million, that's almost an insurmountable.
It was out of this world.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember my friend.
Zero.
Musim Mohammed, I still remember. Moose told me when I remember talking to him, he said, man, this just sounds ridiculous. It just sounds crazy, but I still remember. But it was so powerful because I said, I can't do this, but I know the God that can.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to think about it. From 2003 to 2018, we've now served about 7 million children in about 108 countries. Over 41 U.S. states, 385 U.S. communities. And we just don't give them shoes because people think about you just rolling up the shoes. Every single recipient that we serve, we actually get the chance to pause, to dignify them, spend the time to wash their feet. So just imagine 7 million times about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just think about what that factorial is. Just the impact, the time. But bigger than the shoes is the imprint will live on the hearts of the people because those folks, they will always remember that day. I mean, we wash their feet. We ask them what their dreams are. And then we put on new shoes and new socks and you see them light up. You think they're the ones changed. But your life has changed just as much.
So for folks that don't know, though, I mean, it really mirrors some of what I love about your story. We said, hey, I got a pair of shoes. And man, that was incredible. That in fact, like, man, that was a huge blessing to me because of the poverty that we lived in. One of the biggest dangers in the community was a foodborne disease. Disease was contracted through, running through sewage and unsanitary areas, and people contract this. And that was a huge. But more than the shoes, you had somebody speak words of hope into your life. And I know that every time that we have participated with Samaritan's Feet, to say, yes, we're giving children shoes, but I think our larger opportunity, right, is to speak words of hope into their life.
Man, that's the most powerful thing because you get the chance to make deposits. I think many of these people grew up in homes, man, they hear all the reasons why they can't make it. I was one of those kids. All I ever heard from my father is that I'll never amount to anything. But the reality is God always, strategically places people in your path. And our distributions, sometimes he brings along people, man, that's just the exact answer to your prayer. Those little children, man, you ask them what their dreams are. Man, I want to be a doctor. Maybe a doctor that's washing their feet. Say, man, the reason why God created the sky so high so you can dream real high. So don't put any barrier on that. You keep dreaming. You can do it. God's got you. And that's the beauty of what we do. Bigger than the shoes, man, it's the fact that we get to ignite a passion. Who knows, maybe one of those kids can become Manny.
Oh, man.
I mean, just think about it. I mean, what if they takes on the challenge? I mean, I want to go eradicate cancer. You can do it. Why can't you do it? If you're a little knucklehead from Nigeria, can impact 7 million. Imagine what you can do.
7 million so far. So far. Just getting started. I know you. Yeah, you were just getting started because you were creeping up on that 10. Now we had to recast the vision, right?
Well, we had to because somebody told me, said, Manny, your goal's got to be bigger than you. I mean, and now you're in the neighborhood of getting your target. What's next? I said, well, it's got to be so audacious. Only God can bring about the fruition of it. So we said, what's 1.5 billion? He created the universe, the galaxies, man. If he can't speak the word, man, and the sun shines, who are we to say we can't go impact 1.5 billion of the world?
Absolutely. Well, I am not betting against you, Manny. And I can see why you got great confidence because, because of your story, because of what you've seen, because of all that you've been through that we'll never have time to unpack today. But I know you've done a great job, already framing it up in a book, Soul Purpose. That's fantastic. If folks want to hear more in depth,
absolutely,
on this story.
Absolutely, just free commercial, man.
Absolutely. It's incredible. It's a great read. It gets. Oh my gosh, there's just hundreds of rich stories and leadership lessons. I think for folks. And one of the ones I love most, you already kind of hit on, was that, hey, just because you have a vision doesn't mean the work's done, right? Oftentimes you have to push. There's going to be adversity in the journey. Like there's challenges in the journey, and yours started. When I said, no, son. This basketball game's not for you. This is for other kids. You had to actually say, no, I want to play and kind of push your way into that. Talk some about that, man. I talked to a lot of people that tell me about visions they have and ideas they have and businesses they want to birth. But man, it usually stays in that place of just a vision, just an idea, just a concept, because as soon as they hit adversity, man, they retreat back as though it's an unexpected thing. Like, well, if this was really a good idea, it just would have been smooth sailing the whole way. That hadn't been my experience. I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that.
After we said yes, since we're going so well, I mean, we put in shoes on kids. We aligned ourselves with our friends at Sears. They gave us 1.3 million shoes. I mean, Skechers gave us, Sears.
Skechers.
I mean,
there's some other pretty big brands you've worked with in the world.
They've given us some shoes, but here's the coolest thing, though. Out of the blue, this, remember this crazy stuff that happened because of the market, like in 2009, 2010, and all of a sudden, all these guys that we used to give us 1 million pairs of shoes couldn't give us any shoes anymore. All of a sudden, there was no more shoes. All of a sudden, one of our biggest partner, Finish Line, man, they used to give us $1 million as part of an in-store campaign they did. We lost our partner. And I'm like, okay, it was all good when we had all this stuff. Now, what do we do? See, the mark of a great leader isn't how do you respond when things are going great. But how do you respond? How do you bounce back? And that's what we have to kind of go back and say, what do we do now? Now we had to create a whole new model. How do we create a sustainable model that allows us to actually be able to move this stuff forward? So what became a setback actually was a stepping stone that helped propel us to where God was taking, because it allowed us to pause and look at, say, what can we do differently? So we created a whole different business model that today has now allowed us to serve millions of kids. Because what was known to the world became an opportunity for us to recast and say, how can we do this differently? How can we find ways where companies can actually use this as a calling card, as a marketing vehicle to allow from a social responsibility perspective to leverage service to be able to see even a whole different light in their community and then market that. Who would have thought that a guy washing feet can become a vehicle for people to be able to actually promote themselves as being socially responsible organization? That's where God took this. So every leader got to look at obstacle as an opportunity, but not as hard work.
Beautiful. I think it's such a good reminder sometimes, even in times of adversity, right? When I remember, look up that we don't serve a God who's sitting on his throne, wringing his hands, wondering what to do. Oh no, I didn't see this coming to Manny's future. I didn't know.
He already made a plan.
He does, man. And stepping forward in faith and confidence in that is, I think, it's one of the greatest gifts he gives us.
God is good.
Amen.